Now, Terry, I know that we mentioned before that you start with your younger horses, your babies, right at birth. I mean, we obviously tell this horse is not a birth colt.
Right.
And so tell me some of the things that he's doing here that you start out with. And
well, the main thing is to eliminate the fear.
right.
That's the biggest concept. If once you can do that, you can do about anything with them. Once they're confident, we start with the rope, with rubbing it on them and throwing it around their legs and on their body. You have to do both sides. They need to have both sides done so they're not afraid.
Yeah. So if you have one, okay, obviously he's not scared, at all.
Right.
So if you have one, of course, if you throw a rope at him the first time or, do what he's doing and they run off to the side, do you stop them and kind of hold them and then start again, or what exactly do you do?
No, you allow them to go away from you.
Okay.
If you try to confine them, and then they're afraid. If they know they can get away from you, then they learn that it's not going to hurt them. But if you just keep throwing the rope at them and let them get used to that a little bit at a time, and then it's no big deal to them.
Yeah.
If you try to confine them and restrain them, then they get more nervous, they get more afraid.
You start out in the stall, or do you go to a round pen?
In the round pen.
You want to be where they can't get away from you and jerk.
Right.
Because a colt this size would
Right.
take you for a ride in snow skin.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's why he has a long lead rope there.
That's right.
Okay, I usually start with my colts. I want them really desensitized to ropes, things of that nature, because I know a lot of these horses are going to go on to be rodeo horses. Being rodeo horses, I want to make sure that they know what's going on and they're not going to get themselves in a wreck or get their owners in a wreck. And also, it just kind of gives them a better chance out if they're turned out and they catch a leg in the fence or something like that. Gives them a little more of an opportunity to go ahead and use their head, not get mad, not get scared, and hurt themselves. Normally,
and he's also going to show us about how the ropes, we're going to desensitize so the team ropers don't scare our horses.
Now, when I start, normally I'm going to place a rope over the saddle horn, and I'm going to start out by just kind of popping my rope around him, getting him to move. I use an extra long lead rope. That way I can let him move away from me. Go ahead and get him to come back.
And you start in a more confined area,
Right.
don't you?
Normally this is round pen work, where I kind of can let him, I actually try to let him have his head in the round pen and move away from it. I don't want to try to control him. So, and then once I get him kind of moving, I'll start to pop a rope up over him. Gives him a chance to have that stuff flopping past his head. And as you can see, he's going to move. He's going to continue to kind of pull on me. I'm not too worried about him pulling on me or trying to keep him in one spot. I just want him to figure out that popping and waving isn't going to get him. And people ask me all the time what I'm going to look for and how I know I've done enough, where I'm going to kind of stop with this. I'll stop whenever he gives me that. I want to go ahead and I want him to be relaxed and I want him to move out. And when I say move out, you see horses that run or you see horses that trot, but they got their tail head down, and they're underneath themselves and they're pulling. They're trying to still kind of thinking about being bound up and scaring. I want him to go till he starts to relax, till his tail head comes up. So once he's done that, I'm going to do it to both sides. I'm going to give him both sides. Do the same thing over here. And see, it's a little easier when you're in a little tighter spot, not having to control his head as much. Then, after I move past doing both sides, I'm going to hang my rope over his hips. And this can usually get pretty exciting. In a round pen, when I do this, I'm going to keep him moving, and I'll just throw it over his hips. And I'm just going to let him move. And I'm going to add pressure to it. See how he grabs it with his tail head? I'm going to let him grab it with his tail head. Most of the time they're going to kick and buck through this. I try to just stay in a spot around his shoulder so I don't get in a bad position. Keep adding pressure. And then see, now you can see him starting to move out and he's being free. When his head comes down, tail head comes up, and then he's moving out. That's what I'm looking for there.
You have good position, you can see your tracks, good position going into the second barrel, but you've got her head over like this, turned.
Okay.
What I'd like to see is if, and I understand if you can't do two hands, I always say if you can do two hands to the first, you can do two hands to the second and third. And I tell Kim that all the time. You know, she gets mad at me because I'm always on her. But anyway, that's the girl that works for me, by the way. Okay, so what I'd like you to see is I would like you to try to ride her straight here till you get to about this point right here where the tracks cross over. This is where you need to look to keep her going, okay?
Okay.
Don't look at the barrel on any barrels. And the reason that is because if you look at the barrel, you're going to go right at it. And you're going to start leaning into it. And what happened is she got right here and you got down and you kind of pulled your hand down to your knee and you stopped her.
Okay.
So when you bind a horse up like that, when you stop them, right here, a good horse like she's trying to be, she has to go somewhere. So she doesn't have any choice in that she has to go this way and around instead of trying, because she stopped.
Right.
And that costs you a lot of time. Because she got right here and she had to stop, go out, and then you had to get her, and she's like, ugh, I don't like that. But if you have the correct positioning in that you got her here, and a lot of people do this, okay, when they're working slow, they want to get right here and let a horse stop and kind of raise up and be non-bendy. I like my horse to be really, even more so bendy right here, not step away from me, but be really bendy in the rib cage and everything. Then I got control of them, and then I make them finish and come here and step 2 steps sideways, very light. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The reason is because you can keep them moving forward, that, and you won't have that stopping motion.